It's 0204-447-033. We'll be discussing the oral team's work and what Professor Ansah Asari has been saying about it. But before we do that, let me just quickly read some of the messages that have come. Some of these came about the Boko conflict. It says here, politicians are the root cause of the Boko conflict, and we live to see, because President Mahama promised Kusasi a region during the 2024 election.
Did, right?
This is Rahman from Gambaga. Okay, so this is what Rahman is saying, and it's akin to what Ramatu suggested earlier, that President Mahama... what did I say? That's Ramatu. Lawuratu. I think it's the Rahman that has thrown me off. It's the Ramatu. Lawuratu. Yes, so another message here says, hello, good morning, ChannelOne TV. Sister Nwong Falon is always on point. What a... okay, he's giving fans. What a great and good communicator NDC has got. Okay, my regards to her. This is Stephen Gandano. Okay, another message here. This one says, good morning. I am Suraj, watching you live from Boko Town. Mahama Yarega is the problem. He needs to answer questions. Both Mampusi and Kusasi have to go to court. Okay.
I think that's what they blame. There will be so many.
Yeah, I know, from different places and all that. So these are your messages. Thank you. We appreciate it for as you're watching from different parts of the country. We really appreciate it, and it's good to know that you're watching from Boko. Do let us know what the feeling is like on the ground after the president's visit as well. If you can just, Suraj, if you can just send us a message on that. Okay, let me just quickly read what the former director of the School of Law is saying about the oral team. He says, oral established to serve political interests. Interesting. He says here, Kweku Ansah-Asare, former director of the Ghana School of Law, has expressed strong reservations, about the government's decision to establish the Operation Recover All Loots Oral Committee. He argued that the country already has several anti-corruption and crime-fighting institutions capable of handling such tasks, and suggested that the president could have empowered these existing bodies instead of creating a new committee. Now, Ansah-Asare accused the government of using oral to further a political agenda, asserting that the operation is unlikely to produce any meaningful outcomes. They may mean well, I quote, but from my perspective, oral is just about settling political scores, I guess is what he meant. We don't need that sort of thing, he said in an interview on Joy FM's Super Morning Show on Tuesday, January 14th. Now, Mr. Ansah-Asare called on President John Dramani Mahama to abolish the oral committee, stating that failure to do so will lead to the embarrassment of the person who set it up. The earlier he scraps it, the better. Overall, oral will become one of the many entities presidents have established, only to realize that the members of the committee will take the law into their own hands to do things that from a common sense perspective should not be done. So those are his thoughts there. Let me come to you, Nwong, on this one. I did read somewhere that the oral committee has a finite lifespan. Is that the case?
So I believe that the oral committee, it's just an administrative tool where the fight against corruption is concerned.
Okay.
It is not an oversight institution that has been set up. It does not usurp the powers of any oversight institution. They have simply come in to collect, process, and pass on the issues. And we know in the very first day, they said they received over what, 400 complaints, which they are going through. I think that any well-meaning Ghanaian who wants to see some accountability in our politics should be welcoming the entire idea of oral. There is no reason for the NDC to gets up to go settle any scores for political, I don't understand it. I'm not sure I get what he's trying to, what he's getting at. If you look at our history, the NPP has jailed more former government officials than any other party. The NPP has no reason, the NDC has no reason today to come and say that they are using this as for their own political expediency. No. We are doing this to introduce accountability into our politics, which has been missing for a very long time. The people of Ghana have been crying for accountability, for a retrieval of supposed looted funds. And we should all be interested in finding out who has stolen what, if any stealing has been done. People talk about witch hunting, and I always say where there are witches, there will be hunting. So if nobody has done anything untoward, misappropriated funds, stolen funds that belong to the country, why is anyone worried about oral or the function of oral? They are not taking any money from the state. They have made it very clear that they are working free of charge. These members of that committee are putting in work from their own working hours. They are using their own fuel to get to wherever they have to get to do their work. And as far as I am concerned, oral is a way of empowering the other institutions that already exist. We've been in this country, we've had so many allegations of corruption. These institutions that he refers to have been existent. What have they done about those allegations of corruption? At the end of the day, it comes to the willingness of the party in power to fight corruption. That is the only way the fight against corruption will move forward.
So those who argue against the existence of oral typically say that why not spend time to empower the institutions, finance the institutions that exist. We have the Serious Fraud Office, we have the EOCO, we have SHRAJ, we have all these organizations, institutions that in the CID as well, you know, that can handle these kinds of things. So then what's the objective? As in, you're creating a side institution that is not ensconced within our laws?
Kpebu, all these institutions you mentioned, they existed before you brought the Office of the Special Prosecutor.
True.
Nobody kicked against that because we're all interested in the outcomes.
Okay.
Oral has not even taken up office, has not taken any finances or logistics where the country is concerned. So we should actually be grateful to the members of Oral for putting in that much time and effort.
Okay.
These institutions existed. Who has been prosecuted for corruption in the last 8 years? We have these institutions. We also had a clearing agent who was more powerful than all these institutions.
A clearing agent?
Yes, the former president. We did not find any of the people accused guilty. Nobody was ever found guilty.
Well,
even when Cecilia Dapa was accused, we had a very endearing letter in the public, even before the investigation could commence. And that's why I'm saying that it all goes back to the willingness of the president and the willingness of the party in power to actually pursue corruption and put an end to it.
But he said in his final State of the Nation address that the various persons who were accused were duly investigated and, you know...
So let's assume that we are investigating someone and the president already comes out, writes a letter to the person and makes it very clear, my dear Cecilia, clear that you will be found innocent at the end of the day. The president has already exonerated the person.
You feel he's compromised the
I believe that if these institutions are already empowered, the person who undermines them is the president or government of the day, as we have seen in the last 8 years. They were not able to do their work efficiently. Otherwise, Ghanaians will not be calling for heads to roll. You saw the Afrobarometer report. Ghanaians do believe that corruption is rife in Ghana, especially so under the NPP's 8 years. Under Akufo-Addo's administration. We heard from Martin Amidu. What did he label the people in charge? He called them mother serpents of corruption. So who am I, Nwong, to come and say that there's no corruption in Ghana? The people have seen the corruption. The people have asked for accountability. And we need to move beyond that point where we think that people in government are invincible or not answerable to the people. Once you sit in a government office, at the end of the day, you need to account for what you have done and what you have not done.
Okay, fair enough. Lawuratu, so we can't overdo the fight against corruption. It's a bad situation. The corruption is a problem in Ghana. We cannot run away from it. And the more effort we can put into fighting corruption, the better. That's my perspective. And Oral seems to just come and add to the numbers to help us fight.
David?
Yes?
I think Oral is populist.
It is, eh?
It's populist and a recipe for political victimization and chaos.
And the black one says that they're not into any of that.
David, I said Oral is populist, a recipe for political victimization and chaos.
Okay.
There are institutions, both government and within the civil society, that have been fighting corruption.
Yeah.
There are acts that protect whistleblowers, like the Witness Protection Act, among others. If this is a way to sustain the excitement of the NDC base, then I think they're overdoing it. How many people are supposed to be on the committee?
I think
5 of them, right?
5, yes, I think 5.
One of them used to head the Auditor General's
Accountant General,
Auditor General's Department.
Yeah.
They write reports.
Yeah.
The reports goes to a Public Accounts Committee.
Yeah.
Why is that so? Because everything that is done within the state is done with you and I, including those taxes. Anybody who is, we don't live in a jungle. Going to do I catch you, you catch me, going around taking cameras and pointing out people's properties just to cause disaffection for them is something that we shouldn't encourage. And that's what they are doing. I saw a couple of videos, they'll point it. There was one I heard, who is the lawyer, shouting, mentioning someone's name in the background. That's what they are doing.
You mean Martin Kpebu?
Oh, yes. Yeah. You see, having him and Okudzeto just adds drama to it. It adds nothing to the fight against corruption. It just adds unnecessary drama. They are state institutions.
Why do you say
so?
Because they said that what they're doing, they are submitting all their findings,
what findings?
To the various institutions,
by doing this,
including
by
CID,
being judge and jury. You're watching the video. By being judge and jury, are they land guards?
But they're not judge and jury. They said that
they land guards?
They're only investigating and then finding
investigating what?
To OSP.
What happened to the police? What happened to Shiraj? What happened to the Special Prosecutor's Office? What happened to Yoko?
But the corruption perception is
only
growing.
We can't fight corruption if we don't strengthen anti-graft agencies.
Okay, fair enough.
We can't fight corruption with this kind of drama.
But this seems to,
as I sit here, anybody who has done anything untoward must answer.
Yeah, I agree.
Do we answer for things that we've done, be it privately or publicly, like this? That you go and cause disaffection for people. You go on, sit on radio and malign people when you haven't presented any evidence of any wrongdoing. Why? Why do we want to do this to ourselves? Is this how we want to fight corruption? Fighting corruption with corruption? Is this how we want to do it? I mean, this is unnecessary.
So you believe that what the oral team is doing is inherently corrupt?
You ask, what's their mandate? What's the legal backing for this? If it's not just for populists and keeping their base excited.
Do you believe that what the oral team is doing is inherently corrupt itself?
I mean, what they are doing is what? What is corruption? Corruption is not just about stealing money or doing it. It's also maligning people without again. It's another form of corruption. You don't fight corruption with corruption. If we want to go into people's properties they have acquired and want to go into how everybody acquired, I don't think some people stand the test of time. But you see, David.
Let me help the argument here. So, yesterday, Raymond Archer, who is a member of the oral team, was in a conversation with Umaru Sanda on Face to Face. And let me just quickly quote him. He says, I think people misconstrue what President Mahama is trying to do. Because of politics, we even fail to give him the recognition that as an African president, making corruption front and center of a political campaign and winning that election and deciding that even after he had won, it is still a priority. I think because of politics, we don't seem to recognize. If you look at what has happened over the past years, from the Afrobarometer report to the Corruption Perception Index, we all know where Ghana is at the moment and where we are as a people economically.
He even has a hat with oral return. Is there a campaign?
So why
what is all this?
So worried about this
nobody's worried about. We are worried about the president you are trying to set.
The president
we are all having conversations. Look, David, and I always say it. Those of us in the political class, we need to be very careful. Right? We need to be extremely careful. Since 1992, that was like coming to constitutional rule, people were not sure, there was uncertainties, that we had a little over 50% voter turnout. The lowest we've had since then. I think apart from 2000, which was also another change of regime. Right, because we had just moved from into constitutional rule in 1992. We hadn't even settled. There were boycotts and all that. The next major change was 2000. I think voter turnout was about 61% or so. Since then, we've had 75%. We've had, I think, in some either second round or so. Check the data. We had about 80% or so. This 63% or so is the lowest we've had since then. That should tell you something.
But
listen, David, let me tell you something.
Okay,
let me finish. So you have an average of 4 million people that refuse to vote every election cycle. That should tell you something. This year is what? Almost 7 million people. That is the confidence that the ordinary citizen is losing in the political class. And it doesn't augur well. It doesn't augur well for those of us in there. So when you start doing some of these gimmicks, you further dent it. Where is the evidence? Do they have to do all this, put up all this drama, all these Jackie Chan kind of catching people, this is this person's property. If the person has stolen a property, if the person has taken the property without the due process, let them face the law.
But that's what will happen.
To use their accusations to convict people? You definitely need written evidence. And to have a lawyer following and doing this even makes it sad. To have someone who has been in parliament all these years needing to do it, this is sad. You go and sit on TV and radio and accuse people. Anybody who has done wrong, who has embezzled anything due this country, who has shortchanged this country, must face the music. But it's not through this drama and causing unnecessary disaffection for people that will solve it. That is all that we are saying. Nobody is worried. Anybody who knows they've done something, everybody comes into it. Politics and coming into government is another level of public service. But over the years, we made it seem like it's a way to come and enjoy. So even come in and people are not seeing you in a certain light, and you are even being insulted for being stupid.
But even the numbers applications and CVs have been sent to the president already are part of proof of what you're saying.
All these things are the things that are affecting and enhancing the decay of our morality in this country. And we need to watch it.
All right, okay.
Right.
I think
Can I just add
you can have a quick
when you talk about institutions that are fighting corruption, we've had 8 years. These institutions have not given us any results in those 8 years. We haven't
Wow.
found.
I don't think.
Where is it?
Wow.
Where are the results?
How was the
Lawuratu?
Maslow?
Where are the results? You talk about
convicted.
Let me land. I allowed you to
The
finish.
banking
When you
crisis,
talk about
how were
making
they
a
convicted?
show of it, we cannot accuse the members of this committee of any form of corruption. Unfortunately, I've not seen them doing anything corrupt in what they are. Show me the corruption there. We cannot just sit down and accuse them of something that is not substantial. And if you say the NDC is making a show out of the fight against corruption, the NPP made a show of Chachuchikata. They made a show of Atuforce in this country. If there is a problem and there is corruption, we have to fight that corruption. And every Ghanaian has to support that fight against corruption.
Of course.
Those
We all need
institutions,
to
if those
fight,
institutions
not
were
drama.
well strengthened than the Kufuado, we would not have any this
We all
so-called
need to
drama
support
you are
the fight
talking about.
over
We wouldn't-
corruption,
we wouldn't
especially
need
for those
oral.
of us who come from poor regions that all these things are
If you fought
affecting our
corruption,
development.
wouldn't
We
need
all need to
oral.
fight against corruption, but not through this
You
drama.
see that low voter turnout
through this
during the
drama.
elections? That was a vote of no confidence against the NPP.
What were we
That
told?
is the party that had been in
oral
power for
will
8
end
years.
with the AG. AG. What did the AG say?
Ghanaians were
Oral
disillusioned.
is forever.
Ghanaians were
Technically,
disappointed.
isn't that what he said?
And it's only the NPP that
Oral
has
is
made people
supposed to
think
end
that
with AG.
going into
Now AG is telling us it's
is to
forever.
enrich yourself. Because we have seen the flamboyance and we have seen the arrogance about town. And that is what the people have seen and have translated into politics. And have decided, look, people are disillusioned in the whole political system. Why? Because we've had 8 years. 8 years of corruption and 8 years of arrogance.
And what did Ghanaians
8
do?
years of incompetence.
And what did Ghanaians do?
failed to come out
What did
to
Ghanaians
vote.
do?
That is
But
them
at
sending
the end
you
of
a
the day,
clear
what did
message.
Ghanaians do? Is
That
the
is them
NPP
sending
still
the
in
message.
power? Look, look.
That's what I'm saying.
What
The
was
NPP had
wrong
fought
yesterday?
corruption. We wouldn't be
What
having
was
oral
wrong
today.
yesterday shouldn't be done today.
All right.
So the corruption that
It's
was
been how
wrong
many
yesterday,
years
we have
today?
to bring it to book.
No, but
If we
through
don't
this
bring it to
drama,
where is the
how
drama?
do you bring it to book? You just said to book.
Why are you
What is
so
to book?
worried about
Is
the
it to
activities
drama?
of oral?
Look,
This is
my
the
dear,
question.
Okay.
Me,
Has oral
anything
taken
that
anyone
has
to court yet?
anything. But
Let's wait for the results.
Can they?
Let's wait for the
Can
results
they
of
take
the
anybody
oral
to
committee.
court? What's their
and then
legal
we decide
backing?
whether oral is relevant.
What's their
or not.
legal backing? This
Okay.
is unnecessary and populist.
Okay, so-
Let's be
so-
The
honest.
president has a right to
I
put together
think-
any
Nobody
committee.
Nobody
Your
has.
president has
I
so
think-
many
Nobody
committees.
has said.
That is their legal
Nobody has
backing.
said
The
he doesn't
president
have.
has a right to set up a
But
committee.
you think this drama
and
is
he
what
has
to
set
fight
it up.
corruption?
I don't see the drama.
It's
I'm not
populist.
sure the
Let's
drama you
start
are
these
talking
things.
about.
If it's
Okay.
not right, we thought it wasn't right, it shouldn't be condoned this time around.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, ladies. We will do the final story. Mahama has nominated 10 regional ministers so far. He seems like a man in a hurry. Let me just quickly.
Someone is not happy with it, but
How? You seem to be attributing a lot of things to me that are not right.
No, me share that I'm a cancer. He seems like a